the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the 80 right here on SM Media, our show where we look at all things west of Scotland, and we are at the end of another massively impressive season where a lot of things have happened. We'll probably spend more time talking about what's been happening off the pitch than on the pitch over the past couple of weeks, but to join me on this episode to recap a very good season, we brought him in from the rest of you. It is a pleasure to welcome Des Roach.
Good to be here, Scott. Good to be here as always.
Always a pleasure. We always do it. We always get on well in podcasts, and I think we'll go on well tonight. I think we will enjoy, obviously, not talking about some controversy involving referees, but let's get into the kind of west of Scotland. Before we get into talking about what's been happening in terms of promotions, relegations, kind of talk about promotions here. We'll start with the news. Obviously, Clydebank are promoted. Congratulations to everybody at the club. I know, speaking to a lot of them over the years, this was the one they wanted. They wanted this step up. They wanted to get promotion and get back to where they feel they belong. And to Gordon Moffat, for years since I started covering this league, if I've spoke to someone who has been as dedicated, as committed, as eager to really show just how good a manager he is, I'm really struggling to think of any off the top of my head who deserves it more than Moff.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's obviously vastly experienced as a player. He then went in and cut his teeth at Rossvale.
Yeah.
And Clydebank have gave him that platform. I think what we need to look at it as well, this has been a 5-year programme that's got him to here. And what Moff, I was also with him the night. What he identified at the start of the season has turned out to be correct. He's got the nucleus of a really good squad. What he needed was guys who have got experience and know how to win at this level.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he's done right through the Spiney's team. I was at the Musselburgh game at the last weekend, and I've got to say they were by far the better team and thoroughly worth their win. And I think they can go and really establish themselves and look to do well in the Lowland League.
And they've not missed about already. They've signed Owen Stott for Beath and goals and signed Neil McLaughlin. So it's not like Clydebank are going up there thinking, we'll just be eager to contend. They're going to win the whole thing, and wouldn't surprise me. And like you mentioned, obviously, about the nucleus of a squad: David Syme, Nicky Lowe, Dean Cairns, Nicky Little, like the spine of that squad. Andy Leishman, obviously, as well. I don't know if Andy's staying. I haven't spoke to him about it. I haven't spoke to anybody around them, but the nucleus of that squad and players who have just improved and really kind of fit, the kind of chemistry's there. They're just an incredible side who, I mean, they won 24 or 30 games and 25 games unbeaten. Like, incredible season they had.
Yeah, and it was thoroughly deserved. And I think Gordon said right from the start that early on in pre-season, he identified that, you know what, we can win this, and they made no bones about it. I don't think the club have made any bones about it, that since they came back to this level, that their aspiration is they want to return Clydebank to upper echelons of Scottish football. Where's the limit? I don't think they've put a ceiling on it.
No.
I don't think they've put a ceiling, and I would thoroughly expect and hope that Clydebank can go in there next year, and I don't think they've got anybody to be scared of. If you look at, what do they call them, the legacy clubs, etc., like your Berwicks and your Cowdenbeath and Albion Rovers who are in there, East Stirlingshire, they're not the teams that are winning the league. It's East Kilbride that are winning the league. So I don't see any reason why.
And East Kilbride aren't there, and it's no unlike Clydebank to just go up there and think we can win this, and they've probably got one of the best managers in the league as well. And I just hope they keep that side together and push on.
I think they will. Yeah, I don't think there'll be. Yeah, I don't think there'll be too many players getting pushed out the door. I think there'll obviously be a natural wastage, but as I said, the season just finished and they've already been out and strengthened really, really well. So, yeah, no messing about.
And I'm going to say something controversial here, and it's probably not the best thing for a host of a podcast that covers Scottish football to say. I missed the Junior Cup final. I didn't watch. I didn't see it. I watched it back. I recorded it and watched it back. And Johnson Borough, again, it was a weird game because from what I seen. Like, obviously, I knew the result before the game happened, but like if you'd said, imagine saying 5 years ago, Kyle Lafferty would score the winning penalty in a Junior Cup final. Like,
that just doesn't
it's
bear
a
thinking
weird thing, but obviously it's a massive achievement for Johnson Borough. Like as well, the way they've obviously, like, we know the story of what they've done in terms of the finances and recruitment. But at the end of the day, they're a junior club, and that's a massive achievement for them winning that competition.
Oh, it's absolutely huge for them. And we are saying, talking about Kyle Lafferty scoring the winning penalty. Kyle Lafferty's not even a regular starter for
No, he's
Johnson Borough.
not.
He's not somebody who's the stalwart. Kieran Diver done really, really well. A boy that was playing around for the juniors
Yeah.
3 seasons ago. So he's done massive. But yeah, massive job for Murdy, and massive applause to Murdy and Stevie Aitchison up there. It's very easy to say that yes, they've got financial resources available that other teams maybe don't. However, that's not a guarantee
No.
that you can put a team with chemistry and a team that play together. But Trinent worked their way into the game. But I'd never ever thought that Borough were out of it. And I know when they scored the late equaliser, it was deserved. So not delighted for them. They're probably the closest team to where I live. So outside the Renfrew Juniors, that's probably where I go and watch most of my other games. But yeah, well done. Absolutely fantastic. And again, keeping a West team's obviously won the league and get promoted to the Lowland League, and another West team winning the Scottish Cup.
Yep, absolutely. Now we were obviously with Clydebank going up. We were expecting the bottom team in the Lowland League to come down. There was whispers coming out last week. They're beginning to kind of become reality. Like when we heard, there's maybe things aren't all great at Broomhill, and then we get confirmation just before the weekend that Broomhill were going to fold. Obviously means that they won't be coming down, and it means like Kilwinning will be going up to the Premier Division, Lanark, Greenock and Easterhouse will all be getting promoted as well. We'll touch on that when we cover the leagues. Broomhill aren't obviously a West of Scotland team, so I'm not going to be like, oh, this is a massive loss to the West. All I want to say about this is if anybody's watching this that runs a football club, if you want a cautionary tale of how not to do things, look at the way Broomhill have been running the past few years. Now, I'm not saying the guys at Broomhill haven't done a remarkable job. Like we mentioned off air, George Fraser's been terrific for that club. There's a lot of people in the background deserve a lot of credit. But the kind of media circus that was brought up a few years ago has been a disaster for them, and it's led to this.
Yeah, they've been a club that was formed, and they were just really nomadic. They've played all over the place. They've tried to do things differently, do things a lot through social media. Obviously, the experiment that was tried with Cypher, etc., going in there. It's just not worked for them, and the results that they've brought with them this year. I mean, the amount of goals that they lost, it was just an uphill battle. And see, to be fair, see if they came down and they were part of our structure in the West, I wouldn't really have seen them being a sustainable Premier Division team. I could potentially see them going straight through. The ones that you're disappointed for is obviously the guys who are contracted to the club and playing for the club. They've got to go and find new areas to play football. You get Xander Diamond as well, who was just sort of at the fledglings of his.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's well thought of. He'll be fine.
He'll get something, but it's somebody who he put his faith in the club to go there. So yeah, sad to see any club fall, whether it's a junior team or a kids team. But I didn't think that the current model that was running under looked pretty sustainable.
And it's a problem as well because, like, when you look at the West of Scotland clubs, they're all well run. They're all community run. Like, you can go to any of the West of Scotland clubs, probably all 80 of them, and you will know instantly within 5 minutes of being there who's who's involved. You'll know somebody will speak to you who's in like the committee or something like that. The Lowland League, that's not really the case. Like Broomhill, Cali Braves, like it's not. It's probably getting there, and when we touch on Reconstruction at the end, but like Broomhill, like again, I'll always say, like, to take over a club just to give a guy a manager's job, and then within a year it doesn't work out, and the club's just left to kind of pick up the pieces. It's that's with massive bills to pay. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Obviously, it means that 4 clubs are going up, and again makes their leagues a lot more interesting as well. It's just a sad tale. That is the best way to describe it. It's just a sad story of you don't want to see any club being dissolved, but you also don't want, like, you don't want this to become the regular. And it's like you've seen obviously with other clubs in the, like, the east and south as well. They're struggling.
Yeah,
There's a lot of problems there with the way, like, the changes in pitches and what you need to do now to get your, like, to get licenses and things like that. It's going to get a lot tougher for these clubs.
and people are putting a lot of man hours into this
Aye.
as well. It's a lot in not getting paid volunteer hours.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think you probably best describe it saying it's quite disappointing. Nobody wants to see any club fail to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into just obviously talk about a few teams in the Premier Division that I think deserve a lot of credit. First of all, Auchinleck finishing second, winning a cup. It's kind of what they do, in it. It's just they win trophies. They just go about their business quietly. And like with Clydebank, 17 points, obviously Clydebank won the league by. But Auchinleck, I think, like, under the radar, had a very successful season.
That's just what Auchinleck do.
Yeah.
That's Tucker Sloan does it every year. You can bet your bottom dollar that Auchinleck will always be in the top three. They will always win a trophy. I think probably the biggest disappointment to them is the 2 Scottish Cups they were in, the Senior
Yeah.
Cup and the Junior Cup. That's probably the biggest disappointment to it. It'll be interesting to see how the squad looks next year as well. Is there going to be massive wholesale changes there? They don't tend to go for massive wholesale changes. It's usually just 1 or 2, and
Yeah.
they're always picked up from teams that are not the most fashionable ones. But I would expect Auchinleck, as you would every year, to be right in amongst that again next year. And
Yeah.
probably with Clydebank not being there, I don't think they'll be finishing 17 points behind any other team.
Nah, I don't think they will either. There was a couple of other sides as well that I thought did well at the top half. Like Troon, sensational. I had Troon to go down.
Mhm.
Like, I'm absolutely. I'm not astonished because I know the kind of coaching team, and once you learned a wee bit more about what was going on, there's a lot of players there that Troon should be not where they are, but they should certainly, they wouldn't have been challenging like in the relegation spots, but they're a side that can kick on.
Yeah, and from the sort of murmurings I'm hearing of who they've signed, three from one club in particular, there doesn't seem as if they're messing about. It seems as if
It
they're
doesn't.
getting their ducks in. At the forefront of it as well, you've got a really solid backline, and Big Deal Burgess in goal, I think, is one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Um, so yeah, I think Troon are getting their ducks in a row, and they're showing how serious they want to be players.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Leitrim Chapel finishing sixth, St Cadoc's fifth. Largs come not finish. Come to a really good end to the season. Obviously, they'll be disappointed with where they finish, but they're aside. Obviously, they brought in Adam Ford. There's mentions of a few other players maybe going there as well, so they could be a side to really get going if they keep everybody intact. Arnie 10 years as well. Like you mentioned, you're going to be doing Arnie's testimonial. Like
Yeah,
10. Do you know what I mean? Massive. I think he's 2 years. I think he's signed for 2 more years. Like,
yeah.
he's built a massive kind of legacy there.
Yeah, I think he would be somebody that would be automatically within the thinking for future Auchinleck positions if they become available, because he's certainly doing extremely well at Barrowfields, and not having not having the biggest budget, and seems to be getting it right, and the players that he's going with. I think Drumchapel to come up and get what they have got as well. I think Hope's done really well. Largs obviously the points deductions. Yeah, a lot of good strong teams that are going to be, certainly when Reconstruction comes, they're going to be right, and if they've got the licenses in place, they're going to be looking to moving one up again next year.
Yep, absolutely. And obviously down at the kind of the other end of the table, Glenafton, I think Paul Payton's done a really good job there keeping them going as well. Took over at a bad time. I think we've done really well this season. You look at the likes of Hurlford and Shotts, the budget they've been on, they kind of looked as if they were struggling, but they've kind of pulled it in at the right time. Like, a few sides there that they could just keep going.
I think I think Paul Payton for his first full season, has done exceptionally well. John McEwen, what he's done at Shot as well has been. Do you know what? It's probably one of the only grounds that I've not officiated on in the West. But it probably is that. Oh well, that and Les Mahego. But it's just always a well-run club.
Mm-hmm.
Always a well-run club. They won the Scottish Cup with Tony McInally, obviously a right good few years ago. But there's just something about Shots I've always got a wee soft spot for. I think Cumnock, they'll improve again. They sort of suffered from their slow start to the season.
Yeah, they had a really slow start.
But Swifty's obviously getting a tune out of it now, bringing in Adam Ford, who guarantees you goals, but who's he going to play him up with? It'll be interesting to see what business they try and bring in over the summer. But I would expect Cumnock to move on. I think if I'm correct, I think that's Cumnock's highest league finish in the West this year.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Obviously the relegated sides, Gartcairn, it was a really difficult season for them. Obviously, well documented their kind of issues, but like they brought in Ryan McStay, Darren Barr. I think really good appointments. Darvel, has it just been obviously the kind of like the kind of end of the kind of the success and maybe the beginning of a new era? And Ben Burb always, to me, I think Ben Burb will always be a side that you wouldn't be surprised if they just come up and down every year. Remember when Fulham used to do it in the Premier League?
Yeah. I think Ben's might be a wee bit like that. It'll be interesting to see how Gartcairn respond to this. I know they had a points deduction, which will have contributed to where they were in the league, but their form for the last few months was relegation form.
Yeah.
What's got to happen here over the summer, and I know McStay and Dan, I don't know Dan Barr, but I know Ryan. They've also got the background working with Airdrie 19s and 18s, so I would anticipate them going down that route to an extent, and then also try to tap into their vast array of contacts. Gartcairn are probably best set to come up, and it wouldn't surprise me if Mick Oliver at Darvel, he gets them straight back up as well. Just depends on what backing that he's got available, because obviously the John Gall money's not there anymore.
Well, you look at Darvel, obviously, and I think it's interesting because we know obviously John's not there and the money has changed, but I really like some of their business that they've done already. Like they brought in Jamie Bowman for Rob Roy, who I think is terrific. I think is a real find for that league, like as well, and like bringing in the boy for Kilsyth Athletic today is Luke Ramsey, a good player as well. Like that first division we're going to touch on, it's like form goes out the window. Budgets don't make a difference in that league.
It's the hardest league we've got.
Ridiculous, but
it's like the Championship in England.
Yeah,
it's the hardest league to get out of.
Yeah, and when people say obviously, the top budget will go up. Yes, I can see that angle to a degree, but I also think like there's 9-10 teams in that league who should be going up, should fancy themselves to go up.
Yeah, and you look at your talking about budgets. Look at Renfrew coming up. Renfrew's budget will be nowhere near any of the ones that are around, and I can guarantee you it won't be much bigger next year in the Premier League.
Yeah, we mentioned obviously the likes of Renfrew, like 4 sides obviously going up for the first division. Arthurlie, Rutherglen, Renfrew, and Kilwinning, like incredible. I think for Renfrew, who, I mean, I was getting digged at the start of the season that they weren't going to score enough goals. They ended up scoring 71 goals in 30 games. Like, I'm happy to eat my words, and like tremendous achievement for them to go up. But all 4 sides will be really good additions to the Premier Division.
I have no doubt. I think they'll all go up there and fancy their chances of performing well. I think what Jimmy's done at Renfrew is just remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Yeah. I know there's a couple of boys left. I've seen that over the last few days. Fraser Barber just done his testimonial and it's gone. Aaron Chowdhury has left, but I'm sure that there'll be guys ready to come in. I think Kevin Kelly at Kilwinning, he'll be delighted they got
awesome job he's done. Even if they didn't get promoted, just the job he's done there in his first year has been incredible.
Yeah, they'll be coming up and looking to get in amongst it. Glencairn, they're always there and thereabouts, making cup finals. They'll all be very, very strong additions. And Arthurlie as well. Obviously, Kevin Rutkiewicz just came in there. I wouldn't have thought there would be a whole lot of stripping back of that squad.
Don't think Kevin's going to be there next season, I was told. I don't
really
know if I should be making that public. That's what I get told, but I don't. I wasn't like, don't say this. It was, that seemed likely. So
that's news to me.
Again, I might be totally contradicted by somebody, but from what I was told, that I think they were on the lookout for a new manager from what I heard, or they were already speaking to people. So we'll see what happens there.
I wouldn't have thought that squad should have been, and whoever it may be, I wouldn't have thought that squad would need a massive refit.
No.
Not from the way that they've been playing this year. Maybe just add a one
Sign
or
Bobby
two.
Barr as well.
Is that where Bobby's went?
Yeah.
I think Bobby will probably agree. I think Bobby's best days are behind him, but he still knows how to play football. You still don't you don't lose the ability. You just maybe lose that wee bit of pace and wee bit of speed. So yeah, I think a couple of additions in there will be sufficing. I wouldn't expect Arthur to be struggling.
Nah, not at all. I think the Premier Division will be good next season. The First Division, though, will be incredible, as it always is, because you get two good teams coming down, 4 sides going up, which we'll touch on. But there's a lot of sides in the middle who stayed there, who will kick on next season. St Roch's finished 5th. Petershill, Craig Palmer's obviously taken over as manager for Stephen McNeil. Thornleywood could be the ones for me. Like, I think, could be the ones I could be really interested to see what happens there.
It'd be interesting to see what goes on up there. The team that always seems to be there and thereabout and always surprises me is Petershill. They're a team that they've got a great location where they are right in the centre of Glasgow, but just for the past few years they've just never been able to get across the line. St Roch's had an amazing season.
Yeah, they really did.
St Roch's had an amazing season. I would expect that their ambitions now, they've got that wee bit of appetite, that bit of taste for it. I would think they will try and make a good move for it. I heard today that they've approached a couple of bodies that I know. Thornleywood, aye, I can see that. I just hope that we get as tight a race and taking it to as long as again in the season that we got this year, because we were right down to the last games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, like sides like Kilbirnie, Rob Roy, even Meadow, Villa Clyde. I think John's done a massive job at Villa Clyde as well, keeping them going. Like they've been incredible this season. Meadow under Jamie, I think I'm probably more intrigued to see what happens at that club than any other in the league. Just with Jamie being in there, really kept them up. Got into the quarter semis of the juniors. I can't remember. I think it was his quarters.
Quarters, I think.
Like Jamie's obviously a big name there, and you'd imagine with a summer under his belt, they'll not be 12th next season. I don't think.
I don't think they'll be 12th. I don't think they'll be at the bottom end. It just depends on what quality that they can get in.
Yeah.
Because they've had the budget for a number of years. It's just not happened for them, and Jamie's going to have to be a big character to deal with obviously the characters at the committee as well and try and get his own way. But I don't think he'd have taken the job if he wasn't given those assurances in the first place.
Nah, definitely not. 3 teams going down. Obviously, Maybole probably again. Like we'll touched on this. I've touched on this a lot when we cover like these levels. Some teams like Blantyre and Ashfield probably get into this as well. Probably sometimes going down is maybe the best thing for them. It just gives them a bit of a freshness, maybe a different look. Like, going from like, oh, you're scraping the barrel every week to you go down and you can instantly just get a wee Wes Nielsen and Whitlett's a perfect example of that in the league we'll touch on. But like these 3 teams, like they're probably first division teams, but they might just need that new lease of life just to get going again.
It's just going down isn't always the worst thing that can happen to you. As you said, you can get renewed vigour rather than going from struggling each week. You start winning most weeks and that builds confidence. If you're winning most weeks, you're probably going to be able to attract some additional players and you're probably going to attract more fans to come and watch you as well. So, yeah, I think that Maybole, also George went in at the end of the season. He was really fighting a losing battle, but he done well to get the sort of the initial one. I know he had the 2 boys up front that was a combined age of about 103. So I think Maybole should be strong enough. Ashfield, they were talking to a boy I know today, over the week. I spoke to him today. He looks as if he's going to go there. He'll provide goals and provide a bit of quality for them. I can see Ashfield coming back up. They've also got the new manager.
Who went in as manager again?
It's the boy Peter. He was
Peter Hill.
Hill. He was a 20s manager last year, so they gave it to him early. They gave it to him a few weeks before the end of the season. So, from by all accounts, he's a very good coach. Yeah, I think Ashfield could be. I think Ashfield could be big amongst it. I think Rossvale. Be interested to see how what happens with them going forward, because obviously they've lost their manager. Josh has went to Pollock as part of the coaching staff there. So a lot of interesting permutations to consider.
Okay. And we'll get into another one in a minute, because into the second division, obviously Neilson won the league by a point. Whitlets Muirkirk obviously went up automatically on the day. That end of the season was thrilling with those three sides. And I give Ross Cusick a lot of praise on this show, and I'm going to do it again, because what a job he's done to get them promoted.
Amazing. Outside of outside of Clydebank, I think Ross has really got to be potentially team of the season. Muirkirk have never been that high ever.
No.
Never. And I know it's a young team, but this young team have been together for a few seasons now. So these guys have all got decent experience under their belts. What would be interesting is, will he be able to keep the whole team, the whole squad together? Because I can guarantee you that there'll be a few Premier League clubs interested in a few of the boys, and quite rightly so. But
no, I know there is,
Ross deserves enormous credit.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously Neilson and Whitlets as well, two big names. As we say, going down last season wasn't the worst sign. They come up with a new lease of life. I remember speaking to Andy and Graham, and like one thing about Whitlets obviously being local to there, like a lot of the boys I know really well, and I know that they're all like in it together kind of thing. Like, they're all a good crop of boys. Neilson, really good crop of players as well. They're going to go and compete. Lanark's an interesting one, because I think Darrell, back-to-back promotions now, massive job he did there. And I think he's took a look at Les Mahago and obviously the connection, and thought, I can try and do this again here. I can try and get Les Mahago to the position Lanark were in. And fair play to him. Like, he owes Lanark nothing. And he's looked at Les Mahago and the connections there and thought, aye, this is where I could go and do the same.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when it came around initially.
Yeah, I was surprised,
I was quite surprised, and especially now when you see they've actually got promoted anyway. Would that have any difference on opinion? But no, I think he's, as you say, he's looking at Les Mahago saying, do you know what? If they're going to give me the backing and they're going to give me the freedom to express myself the way I want to do it,
do
you know what? It's a new challenge, and yeah, they've been good for each other, and he's leaving them on that ultimate high that he's got them promoted, and it's now over to the next man that takes charge.
Yeah, absolutely. Second division, obviously, it was quite tight, obviously, between the rest of the teams. Larkhall finishing fifth and 56 points, and then you had Fickleside to Cambuslang. You'd only got 12 points split in the next side. It was an interesting league, and I imagine obviously it'll get a lot more tighter with the way it's going to work next season. I can see that being a tight league next year.
Yeah, the ones that were cut off at the bottom, they were really, I mean, Cambuslang staying up by a point from Yoker, but Yoker were on a really, really poor run.
Yeah, and obviously with the changes as well.
Yeah, St Anthony's going down, new manager coming in, with an under-20s background. I think St Anthony's can probably look at this and say, well, going down's not the worst thing for us, because they've got a full season to rebuild, and they've got a full summer now that they can get themselves in there. Craigmark, I never seen Craigmark this year, I must admit. But looking at the points where they are, I mean, they're going down on 15 points, having a negative 65. They've only scored 32 goals in 30 games this year. So if you're only scoring one goal a game and conceding the amount that they are, then that was never going to happen for them.
It was always going to be a tough ask for them as well. Into the third division, Thorn, sensational. Like, and again, they're a side that you could just, again, back-to-back promotions, you wouldn't be surprised if they just go up the leagues again, because they've been in a sensational run. But the other three teams that get promoted, Kilsyth, Athletic, Bailey, obviously leaves them with a very good kind of body of work, and Threave and Greenock make up the top four, and they're four sides that give me welcome additions to the second division.
Yeah, I think Greenock will be having a bit of silence. I think they've only been upset that they didn't get promotion on their own merits to begin with. I'm sure Gary was gutted, but the unfortunate demise of Broomhill, it's then let everybody else have that one move up. I wouldn't expect to see Greenock challenge to win the league next year, but I wouldn't expect to see them down at the bottom. And Thorn's a bit like Clydebank, isn't it? Thorn, it's really just up to their own level of ambition where they want to go to. They've been sensational this year. Been absolutely brilliant.
Yep, absolutely. And there's other good sides in that league as well. I thought that the job James done at Glasgow Uni was really good. What Sean did at Ardee, I know they didn't get promotion, and I think they'll be gutted with that based on where they were. But this was a side that were really struggling this time last year, and like to see them, like thinking they would finish fifth, like, and you could say that about a lot of teams in there. Dean Girvan as well, we did a really good job. Luger are going through a bit of transition. Like, there's a lot of sides there. Like Fanart are going through it as well. Like, there's a lot of sides in there that could just go again and kick on. Like, all it needs is just that wee turn.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see Sean rewarded at Ardee. Ardee have been a wee sort of project in place for a couple of seasons now. They're getting it right more than they're getting it wrong. I've listened to a few interviews with him, and I like his positivity. I like the message he puts across. His realism that he puts into it as well. Fanart, they had an up and down season. They started off really well, then they had a couple of bits and pieces where it just didn't seem to work for them. I think next year it'll be really interesting. Also Dean down at Girvan, this is his first year in managerial position. He'll be wiser for it. He'll know the league better now as well. So, because obviously Dean's played at a higher level and he's been at Troon for years, so yeah, it'll be interesting. I think this like the first division could be a really competitive league.
Yeah, I think it could as well. When obviously the three teams going down, three kind of junior names that are probably just maybe in a need of a massive turn of fortune. Vale leaving, Irvin Vicks and Wishaw, different sides in different areas, but they're probably kind of connected. And the fact is that they're just maybe down, probably at the moment, just really kind of struggling and just need a wee kind of pick up.
Wishaw have struggled for a while.
Yeah.
They've now look. Ben, if he goes again with Reverend Vix, has got a big job in his hands. But like we said, going down might not be the worst thing.
Nah, I would say that about all three actually. Like I know James Moats went into Wishaw as well, so like they just maybe need a bit of a like massive, just like let's just strap it back and go again here and get out of the funk we're in.
Yeah, no, I can see that and I can agree with that. It is really just it'll all come down to everything else. It'll come down to the recruitment and what kind of quality they can get to attract to the club.
Yeah, absolutely. Both division, 4 teams going up. Knightswood and Port Glasgow, 2 really impressive sides this season. Kello secured third on the final day, and it turned out Easterhouse were going to join them as well. And I think Kello, obviously, they're a side, they're going the right way. I think they're looking at kind of a couple of players going in there as well. I've heard in Easterhouse. I think the job that's been done there has been really good.
Yeah, again, Easterwood, a new club to our level over the last couple of years, getting promoted pretty early on in their existence. But I think that the top two, Knightswood and Port Glasgow, have just been on a different level, absolutely different level. Tam Jiminson's done incredible at Port, gets them playing really well, scores goals for fun. It's not an issue.
110 goals, yeah.
Yeah, it's not an issue down there. Knightswood as well. I'm very friendly with the chairman of the club. We work together. I know they've got big ambitions in who they're looking to bring in. They've also got big ambitions off the pitch as well because they're looking to get their own set up. Can we see them, Knightswood and Port Glasgow, being competitive at the top end of the league? Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, I can see it. And I think Easterhouse and Kello, is this the first time Kello been promoted since Ross Wilson was down there? Do you think they've been promoted for a few years?
Nah, they were in the third division for a while, and then obviously they've been down last season.
But again, maybe a team like Muirkirk to an extent where you don't associate them with being sort of that high up the league. So yeah, good luck to them. And I think both of them will just I'll be happy to try and just retain their position within the league above next season. And
there's a lot of sides in the fourth division who I'm really excited to see what happens with them. Like West Park, Eglinton, Rossvale, obviously Josh leaving, I'll be interested to see who goes in there. Royal Albert, the job kind of Connor's done there. Saltcoats are another one. There's a lot of sides in there. You think like they're going to challenge. That league could be actually really worth keeping an eye on next year.
From what I'm led to believe, there's massive changes afoot at East Kilbride.
Yep, I heard that as well. Yep.
So I think they'll be looking to be the top dogs that are in there. From what we're led to believe, the backing that they're going to be getting, that's the minimum achievement. I think Giffnock have got everything to be a team leagues above. Catchment area, the setup that they've got up at Old House is first class.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
John Dale going in as well, obviously previously St Peters, who again they're involved. I would expect all of them to have aspirations to move up. Eglinton, they've probably done better this year than I expected them to, and it's just whether they can kick on again. I know they've got big guys around them with Cowan and Irvine Meadow either side, but I'd expect them to be tapping into those kind of resources as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine to fill the void, I imagine our club's going to maybe come in. From what I haven't heard anything, don't know if you have, but I haven't heard anything who it is. I know there's a couple of teams exploring their options, so we say, but we'll see what happens there. But I would imagine there'll be a void needed to fill, and there's a lot of clubs wanting to do that, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because it's obviously going to leave a team free every week if we don't bring someone in. So the reconstruction going through the pyramid as it is at the moment, yeah, I'd be shocked if there isn't an invitation made to one team to join up.
Yeah, on obviously the word reconstruction, it's been kind of hanging around as a bit like an anchor, but we seem to be getting a bit more kind of confirmation that this is going to happen. The Lowland League West and East looks to be kind of going into effect from 26, 27. Des, my thoughts on it are pretty clear. I kind of know yours, but does it make next season a bit, not pointless, but is it a bit of a kind of cloud over next season because there's a lot of teams that we know are going to be going up?
We were talking about this the other night there. I don't think it is. I don't think you can have a season that's a dead rubber, right? And teams have still got the opportunity to get up into this new reconstructed league. So the top 8 potentially are going to go up from us. But you've also got the guys who are going to be sitting, the ones that are missing out. So they're going to be wanting to be really competitive to make sure they're not missing out. Now, I know a lot of it depends, or all depends upon clubs with their licenses. I think you'll see a lot of teams now trying to rush to make sure that license is through. Now, I don't know, you may know better than me. I don't know if you have to have the license in place to go up, or at least be able to prove that you're in the process of going through it. But
I think as long as you have applied by a certain period of time, somebody can correct me. I think you have to apply for a certain period of time to get up, because I think that was the issue with one of the clubs a few years ago. So I can't remember who it was, but I think they couldn't get into the Lowland League without a license, but they'd cleared it by a certain period of time, so it was fine. I don't know if it's changed, but as you say, there's a lot of clubs that will have ambition to get the license now, because like we've been screaming about the promotion relegation thing, and I'm all for it. It's ridiculous, but like it's going to give clubs a one-off opportunity to go up.
And this is the season to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's why I think that you will see teams certainly at the top maybe push the envelope a wee bit more just to make sure they're part of that top 8. And by the way, there's going to be a couple of big clubs who don't make that top 8 and who don't get promoted.
Well, at the moment, there's only 4 in the Premier Division. 6 go in, and Rutherglen's 6. There's only 6 teams in the Premier Division who've got the licence.
And the other ones in the process.
Darvel, Benber. There's a few that are in the process that we probably can't comment on yet until we know officially. But like we know for a fact, there's a few that are eager to get theirs. But at the moment, like if we were doing this in the summer, which was an idea, I think it was going to be doing. I think the original plan was this summer. You would have had like the likes of Medal going up.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely. How can you take a team that's finishing 12th in the second flight, jumping above the other team? I was with the Drumchapel manager the other night there, and he was showing us the plans that Drum have got for the Donald Dewar, and it looks sensational.
Yeah,
it looks really, really good. So I know they're in the process of trying to get the license. So what a fairy tale that would be for Drumchapel to get. to Lowland League in such a short space of time.
And say we want to be the Lowland League, and I know a lot of people do. All we want is a competitive Lowland League. If we get a competitive Lowland League, it's good for us. It's good for the fans. You know what I mean? So hopefully it works out. We will see what happens. But Des, it's been a sensational season. I want to thank our sponsors, Indigo Communications and Greenversity Renewables. I want to thank all the clubs, the players, the staff that have helped out with our coverage this season. And I want to thank Des for joining me in this show, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Scott. Easy to talk football.
It is. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. We'll be back next season. Take it easy, enjoy your summer, and we'll see you all in end of July, I would imagine.